I'm a Rochester Wellness Renegade. So often in our lives, we are out of balance and we don't even realize it. You may be feeling confused lately or feeling stuck, like you're not really sure where you're going or what you want from life. There's a whole bunch of factors in here. There's a psychological factor, there's goalposts when you're in your mid 40s and a couple other places in your life, where women in particular start to take a look at their life and see what's going on. And a lot of women feel really stuck. And so they feel unsatisfied with life. They feel like there's nothing out there for them. But there is. There's so much more to life. Life really should be filled with joy and filled with happiness. You should have the energy that you want on a physical level, on a mental, emotional level. We are designed to be healthy until our 90s and early 100s, but that's not happening. But part of what's going on within a lot of people these days, it's men and women, but I'm going to specifically talk about women today, is being balanced on a masculine and feminine level. And I'm not talking male, female. I'm talking masculine and feminine characteristics. As women become more and more not caught up, but more and more entrenched in that day-to-day life of going to work and coming home and taking care of the kids and trying to be, the perfect employee and the perfect wife and the perfect mother, all those things. Unfortunately, what happens is that we start to lose our femininity. We start to become more masculine, and there's no right or wrong to it, but as we move towards a more masculine role where we have to step up and take charge and we have to do all of these things because often whether it's right or wrong, we feel that we're the only one that can get it done. Often what happens is that we become more masculine. And I'm not talking about, negative or the positive aspects of the masculine, because there are some really amazing positive aspects of the masculine, such as having a strong presence, feeling confident, feeling in control, taking charge. These are all very strong masculine characteristics, and they are good characteristics to have. But when we don't have that balance of feminine in there, that's when we come out of balance and we start to lose a piece of ourselves. And when we start to have problems in our relationships with our significant other, because within relationships, there has to be that balance of the masculine and feminine between the two of you. So if you are out of balance inside of yourself, then your partner is going to be out of balance. And I see this all the time with clients. I see it with myself, that the more and more as my partner, my husband, stepped out of the family because he was working so much, the more and more I had to step in and play the mother, the father, the parent. And I had to take charge, and I had to just start naturally doing these things. And I did resent it. There's no question about it. But I wasn't conscious of that. I just knew that, I had to take care of the house. I had to take care of the cars. I had to take care of the kids. I had to take care of all these things. And, I was getting more and more frustrated and angry and irritated, and I kind of knocked it up to hormones and thought, maybe things are happening from that perspective. But really looking back, I see that I was just really frustrated with as I moved into this more masculine role. But what I also saw was that he started to having more feminine characteristics, and that he was not participating as much. And by these feminine characteristics, I'm talking kind of the excess or the I don't like negative, but it is kind of like negative characteristics of the feminine, where you go to the extreme, because there's strengths and weaknesses in both masculine and feminine. I'm talking about some of the more the weaknesses or the lesser appreciated characteristics of the feminine. So he started to fall back, became a little bit more introverted, paid attention more to himself, maybe complaining a little bit more, but more tendencies towards that female side of him, less take charge, less, strong self. More and more was being left up to me to do without any conscious thought. But it really is fascinating. If you look at relationships, you will see that there's typically one more masculine and one more feminine, whether it's a male or the female, it doesn't really matter. But ideally what we want to move towards is being masculine and feminine, a balance of both within ourselves. And when we can move towards that, we can heal different areas of ourselves. We can start to look a little bit deeper and see what's really going on. Because really what I'm talking about here is learning to love yourself again and learning to recognize the goodness of the masculine and feminine in you, because it really is beautiful. And sometimes we have to go towards the very feminine in order to move away from being masculine. And I know for a while there I started wearing dresses all the time and wanting pink to surround me. There we go. But it really is kind of a fascinating world. But if you really are interested in a more balanced approach within your life, consider this, take a look at that masculine and feminine you. So some of them, and this is really interesting, when I was writing up the masculine and feminine traits, it was really, you could tell where some of these lists came from, because some of them were so negative on the feminine. Like they would say that the man was independent and the woman was dependent. Like everything was a complete opposite, with the masculine characteristics being the very positive ones. So, but some of the strong feminine positive characteristics that we want in our lives are being open-minded and creative. Being driven by words and actions, being nurturing, being caring, wants to be listened to. I think one of the biggest things that I talk about with my clients is that, that book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, or whatever it is, that, when men and women have conversations, the women talk to work things out in their brain. They're looking for feedback and they're looking for input, but they don't want to have issues solved for them, whereas men tend to be that more masculine, take charge, solve the issue. And so we can come into conflict that way, because the men just want to solve things and the women are just looking for input and to work things out. So that's kind of the feminine. On the masculine side, it's to have a very strong presence, to be driven by strong direction and strength, doing one thing at a time. And we know that men aren't quite as good at multitasking as women are, and men don't want to be constrained, typically. Well, some of you would say atypically, but some of the negative or less liked masculine traits are very strong or very aggressive, dominant, overly logical, seeing emotion as a weakness. So these are some of the masculine and feminine traits. In order to start to pay attention to yourself, this is where it's important to become an observer in your life. And I talk about this all the time, because that's when you're going to get in touch. You're going to be more present. You're going to be more in the moment. You can start to tap into your intuition. But being an observer, start to pay attention to what your body's telling you. What are the physical symptoms that are taking place? Start to notice your thoughts. A lot of times we have a negative feedback loop going on in our brain. Start to notice that. Start to notice your emotional triggers and then work through those. You can start to journal these entries and they will help you start to create connections, so you can see that how one thing leads to another, how, when emotional triggers, and you can start to see the trends there. You can start to pay attention more to your body and your moods and how food affects you, all these things. So start to become an observer in your life, and start to notice that masculine and feminine you. Once again, we want to be balanced in the masculine and feminine, but a lot more and more women have become more masculine, and so their partners are becoming more feminine. And it's on a subconscious level. You're not aware of it likely, and your partner's likely not aware of it, but your relationships will be much more effective and will work at a higher level when you are both balanced. The beauty of it is that as you come back to balance yourself, your partner will automatically. It's just the way energy works. It's just the dynamics of relationships. So you don't have to get them to change unless they're open to having this discussion. But by you changing yourself, it will automatically have them start to change. So just for example, where if you realize that you've come to make all the decisions about things, perhaps just step back next time. It's like when you're trying to decide what you're going to do that weekend, just step back and say, well, you decide. Or, you know, rather than saying, well, let's go do this, this, and this, and this, is sit back and let them step forward. As you go into the flow more, they will too, because they'll start moving, stepping up and going, oh, okay, but all on a subconscious level. And that's kind of the beauty of it. So take a look at the masculine and feminine with you, because when you can heal that imbalance that's present, you can heal your relationships and you can be that role model for people around you. Joanna Rogister, Wellness Renegade. Please subscribe down below and click on the bell, and so you can be shown anytime I have any videos. Any questions, please comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Have an amazing day.